Hey, how you doing? This is George with Truck Driver Nation. My voice is messed up a little bit today, but we're going to go over this content. This is estimating the number of calls that you need to book a load as a freight dispatcher in 2025. Now, this is coming from more than one level. It's not just my opinion, but I'm in logistics, so I talk to other people inside the market. And since I've got students, one of the biggest things I don't think they understand is they want get rich quick scheme kind of deal. That's not this. Because you might, what if you have to do 50 calls to get a load because that truck really is in such a bad spot and then you just don't want to deadhead it? It can get that bad. So what I'm gonna do is I wrote a semi kind of script on this to sketch about what the notes we knew and what I needed to fill in for just to come up with this. This is for 2025 as we see it standing. So now, as a freight dispatcher without direct shippers in 2025, the number of calls that you have to make to book a load can vary based on a few factors. These factors include the efficiency of your network, the type of freight you're dispatching, and how streamlined your process is. Now, however, I can give you a general breakdown of what the process may involve. For carrier calls, this is for one truck. Okay. For carrier calls, if you're needing a truck, for example, you will likely start by reaching out to carriers to check their availability, their capacity, and their interest in the load. Um, this is coming from more than one way. If you actually have a load and you're using your freight agent side, then you're allowed to do this. Otherwise, it's considered double brokering. Now, once you have the carrier on board, you'll need to confirm the details like the pickup times, the rates, etc. Now, if you're actually boarding or actually running that particular carrier under your dispatch service, then this is all totally legal because you can get freight for them because you have the limited power of attorney. I need you to understand the difference between brokering somebody and being an actual representative of that given carrier. Okay, there's two different formats behind this, right? So you need to look up your pickup times, your rates, etc., just like you normally would, to determine if this is going to be something that works for that particular carrier. Now you might make a couple of calls to negotiate the rates or iron out some of the specifics, and that's going to be with the broker himself or the direct shipper, depending on which way you're actually generating this freight. Now, as far as the broker calls, when you come to dealing with that broker calls, about 3 to 4 calls. As you don't as you don't have direct shippers, you'll often work with freight brokers to book your loads off the load boards. You'll call the brokers to find available loads. If that's the fact, based on what your records are as you build your book of business, or you'll obviously get them directly from the load board. Now, this involves checking multiple brokers depending on the type of load you need, based off what you know that they do mainly. Now, after selecting the right broker and load, you may need to follow up with them to confirm details or negotiate the rate. Because you might say, hey, let me check with them. Let me see if they'll take that rate. Now, carrier confirmation calls. This is going to be where you're actually confirming. Okay, you're going to probably be 1 to 2 calls. After booking a load with the broker, you'll need to confirm with the carrier one, one or more times to ensure that they're still available and prepared for the load. So just because they say they are, don't mean that they're not looking for something too, because some people want you to dispatch for them as well as they're still looking for freight. And that you need to negotiate that out when you're actually doing your freight dispatcher carrier agreement, um, or freight dispatcher agreement, because you don't want them to keep looking for freight and you're hunting. That's like a waste of time. That's the reason I tell people, like when you come with me, I got 3 dispatchers on you. You can't dispatch your truck. We 100% take it over because I've got 3 people, and I'm not going to tie 3 people up when you're out there playing. Let me look for it too. You hired us as your service, and that's the way it goes. If not, we probably won't be able to do business. If we do it when you're actually sign up, then the agreement goes down. If you're going to, we'll have it in writing. We do everything in writing. If you want to dispatch your truck as well, then obviously you're only going to get one dispatcher. But if any issues arise, such as delays or paperwork issues, you may need to make additional calls to that to do follow-ups to make sure that you're clearing up all the issues. Remember, you're a problem solver as a freight dispatcher. Now, overall estimate in total, you'll probably be making anywhere from 8 to 12 calls per load as a freight dispatcher, working out as far as the direct shippers or the brokers, however you whatever it's going to be. Now, this doesn't include any potential troubleshooting or unexpected problems that might require more calls. It just does happen that way because everything is volatile when you're actually moving freight. There is no great, perfect trip. Do you get trips that doesn't know without incident? Yeah, you do. But do you get trips that do have a lot of incidents in them? It could be equipment, freight, shipper, receiver. It could be all kinds. I mean, did you get double broker and you're figuring it out? Which I hope you don't. But all this you got to keep in mind. There's a lot of moving parts. And keep in mind that technology, apps, and load boards are increasingly helping streamline the process. They're getting there. AI is on the scene. If people don't like it, I say AI, AI, but I love it. Now, uh, so some of these calls may become less frequent as systems improve. However, for but me giving the scenario for 2025, the calls mentioned that we just went over are within reasonable estimate. But when you're talking about, now that's just within that load, okay? All right. So let's understand that's within that load. You got everybody lined up, and that's about how many calls that you're going to end up making. Excuse me. So it ain't one call does it all type of deal. So you're going to look at about between 8 and 12. Hell, it may go to 20, but that's just for that one load when you're dealing with it. Now, let's add on the real problem, finding the freight itself. I gave you the baseline. Now let's add into the problems. How many, when you're dealing with brokers, so you're dealing with the load boards, how many brokers are you going to have to call to secure that load based on the rate negotiation, the route, and all those factors? That right there could be 20, and I'm giving you a very broad window, but it's the truth. 25 to about 50. And I know that seems like a lot. It's not because it moves by fast. The calls, keep them to a point. Before you call them, go ahead and run their MC. That is already out of the way. So you didn't sit there and negotiate and you couldn't even use that broker because they didn't check out. So make sure you run them against your factoring even before you even get going good. So that being said, know that you got 8 to 12, 8 to 20, somewhere in there. Just make sure. Now that's if you got your game together. That's if you got all your notes and you're not playing around. And when you call, you want to make an effective phone call. But if you're not making effective phone calls, then what the hell are you doing? You don't know dispatching yet. You're killing yourself. You're working yourself to death to make the money. I'm not saying that it's not going to be necessary, but don't work yourself to death and phone call. I forgot to ask you that. You're going to piss them off too. So make sure if you have to have a check sheet, use your check sheet. Nobody's pride gets in your way. So I don't think I know it all. Dude, even I don't know it all. You don't think I have to don't go back and check myself? I teach a freight dispatcher course. I still have to go back and check myself. So don't get self-absorbed that you got it. You don't got it. You're just a human. You got a brain between your ears. And you see all these programs where some bitch remembers everything. I haven't run across one. Even the ones that say I don't care if they're making millions of dollars. You can look into the depth of a human. There's always something twisted up about them or their team because they're all on the same page. That's the whole thing behind teamwork. If you can get everybody on the same page and you lead, you got to have one leader. Okay. Can't have leader. You can have people you hang around, negotiate, and share ideas and concepts to be effective. But in the scheme of things, you got too many moving parts because you got too many moving people. You need to have one leader. And in that scheme, you can actually be driven to succeed. But even with doing basic dispatch, because all this is basic, okay? This is really and truly in the scheme of logistics. I'm not downplaying. You can make a lot of money doing this, but this is child's play. This is not nothing nuclear science about this. I get people calling me, well, I don't understand your course format. How can you not understand the course format? When you're not wanting to understand what you're getting into, then you didn't understand what you were doing even as a trucker. So, I mean, it's all put in ABC, almost idiot proof, and I still get that type of stuff being called to me because we did a virtual self-paced course. And I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to spoon feed nobody. Never promised to do that. That was never part of the criteria. And I have to put them in the thing. You either go, then you need to dig harder. You're that one that didn't get basic math in my mind's eye to even know the basic math. How the hell are you going to do algebra and trigonometry? So it's not to be a prick, but I went to college and that's just the way it is. Why would they let you proceed to a higher level course if you didn't even get the lower level course? Everything's a building block, okay? It's mathematically and strategically set up to put the components together so it can develop a full scheme picture so you can be an effective tool inside whatever industry you're in. So dealing with these 8 to 12, know what you're fixing to ask. Now, that's not including when you're doing to be effective negotiator, when you're doing those 25 to 50, if that's what it takes, you might look up and get hold up. You might look up and get the first one. Good day, right? Well, great. Maybe the fifth one. Great day still. So understand that 25 to 50 is what those are true numbers about what you're going to look at to deal with to get that one load and then still end up doing this 8 to 20 calls just to get that load moving, receiving, shipping, negotiation, paperwork, any type of issues, all that stuff. So make sure you understand. And all this is about phone calls. All this whole thing is literally, if you understand what I'm talking about, this is estimating the number of phone calls needed to book A is singular, a load as a freight dispatcher in 2025. So anyways, I'm not going to make this long. I'm going to leave it short because that's all this was about is how many phone calls do you have to make for a single load as a freight dispatcher? Okay. So if you have questions, have concerns, make sure you get a hold of truckdrivernation.com, phone number 210-343-1118. Also email support@truckdrivernation.com. If you need questions answered, if you don't put them out there, I won't be able to get back to you. I'm giving you free resources. So get them to me so I can get back to you. And hopefully this will help you get a better insight on what goes on inside Freight Dispatcher. Remember, when people are sitting there doing their day-to-day routine, this is the stuff that they don't think about helping if they want to actually teach somebody something when they're reaching out to a system. So if you got to reach out and give me the other information that you're needing, that if I don't have it, then I can at least get it out there to you. But anyways, I hope this helped everybody. I hope you learned something. Thank you for visiting the website. Thank you for the support. Students, great to have you on board. For those that are having a hard time, which ain't that many, but you got to get with it. Okay, I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but I've got people passing like crazy because they are assertive in what they're doing in the task required to become a freight dispatcher. Okay, I mean, even because you passed the course, I can't recommend and put references out there for you if you are not effective. I see what you are. Believe me, I got good people to go, and I would give them a recommendation a heartbeat. Okay, I got other people to go, I wouldn't be able to do it. I can give you your certificate and tell them that you completed the criteria. I've signed off on it, but the person, how assertive you are, I can't give a reference on that level. Okay, because this is a virtual self-paced course that Truck Driver Nation teaches to teach all these little facts, all this stuff. And people's like, well, I didn't need that. Well, don't read it. Everything is titled. So if you want to know it, watch it. It's there. But anyways, thank you for visiting the site. Appreciate it. Thanks for the comments from everybody. That's definitely helped me to understand where people are at, as well as anything else that people can add to contribute. Like I said, I don't know everything, but I give out what I can as fast as I can and make sure that it's correct, up to speed. But anyways, thank you so much. Everybody be blessed, and thank you for visiting the site, and thank you for watching the content. Give it a like if you liked it. If you don't, well, say you don't like it, and tell me why you didn't like it. Negative feedback, criticism is what makes me stronger too. But anyways, thank you so much. Have a blessed day.